My name is Eva Hauptmanova. I'm the external consultant to Human Animal Trust supporting research. I'm going to be telling you a little bit about the funding. I'm going to just start off a bit explaining as to what we actually mean by the concept of One Medicine, as most of you will be familiar with One Health. I will just cover a little bit as well what the slight differences between the two, and then I will go a bit more into the details as to what sort of funding we actually looking for. So I'm going to start with the definition, our definition of One Medicine. One Medicine is a collaboration between vets, doctors, researchers, the allied health scientific disciplines, so that all humans and animals can benefit from sustainable, equal medical progress, but never at the expense of animals' life. So what do we actually mean by that concept? Well, we believe that One Medicine can accelerate clinical innovation. It can enable parallel patient trials, parallel meaning in humans and animals at the same time. It can provide a suffering-free, more economically viable option for clinical research participations for both humans and animal patients, of course within a strict ethical framework. It can be a viable alternative to the current approaches and help to promote better understanding of disease in both humans and animals, and hopefully as well at the same time promoting a better relationship with animals. Not obviously forgetting the fact that humans are also animals. We believe that increased investment and focus on developing non-experimental animal models, replacement models for all species, not just for humans, and through learning from treating naturally occurring diseases, using biobanks, data sharing, parallel clinical trials, and ethically sourced tissue, cadavers, as well as use of new technologies, we can make much better progress than we have been making so far. So what is the actual difference between One Health and One Medicine? So I already mentioned the One Medicine definition as we use it. Obviously, the two concepts are interrelated. They do share a common denominator. They are quite closely aligned in terms of the collaboration between the human and veterinary medicine. But from our perspective, the focus is on mutual benefits rather than just one species benefiting and the more sort of human health prevention. One Health's definition, on the other hand, is an integrated, unifying approach to balance and optimize the health of people and animals and the environment, usually around the protection of people getting any of the diseases. So it is particularly important to prevent, predict, and respond to global health threats such as COVID-19. Obviously, the foundation of both One Health lie in much older concept as One Medicine, whereby previously, historically, lots of the vets and medics would have been sort of educated at the same time. And obviously, One Medicine does recognize that the One Health concept is really important, but we aspire more to deliver human and animal benefit side by side, ensuring that there is a mutual benefit. So in terms of why we would want to bring things together, well, collaboration, obviously, and a lot of the same language being used, same diseases. There is obviously and has been historically a lot of emphasis on comparative medicine through different areas, comparative oncology, comparative biology. I think in a way we, as much as One Medicine may sound like a comparative medicine, because comparative medicine has previously also been used, obviously, for the justification of animal experiments. We do recognize the term, but prefer the term One Medicine. There are lots of similarities in terms of cancers, like osteosarcoma, and you can see two slides, obviously slightly different magnification. One being the canine osteosarcoma and one being the human osteosarcoma. Obviously, the huge benefit in terms of studying the canine disease is the incidence in the canines is far higher than incidence in humans. So the availability of the tools and the samples is much higher. And there's some pretty promising work going across different countries that is already trying to utilize this method of using naturally occurring disease. And those are just examples. So one other example is osteoarthritis, and trying to utilize the concept of One Medicine for establishing the causes and potential new treatments of osteoarthritis. In terms of the emphasis, obviously, when studying human disease, animal experimentation had been widely used, and usually the OA models that would have been developed would have been using dogs, rabbits, and rodents, as they still do. Instead of using a naturally occurring disease, they would be inducing the disease in the animals, not exactly the reflection of the real world experience, but we have the opportunity to study naturally occurring disease. Lots of the companion animals living alongside us will develop osteoarthritis. They live within the same environment. They tend to eat similar sort of foods. So actually utilizing the naturally occurring disease is far more beneficial than the induced disease. Improved imaging and tissue sampling is providing great opportunities for studies. And I'm not just talking about companion animals in terms of One Medicine. So there's obviously lots of other opportunities in terms of comparative gastroenterology. As you can see the article there, in terms of common ground for collaboration when it comes to different diseases of the digestive system. And I think some good examples already exist. And also the acknowledgement that often the treatments are very similar. I'm not sure if any of you are familiar with Buscopan. I have one in the fridge. We use one for the horse, and the dog has also been known to have it. So what do we support overall? Obviously, we do support 3 Rs with much preferred focus on complete replacement, but we would also like to add the 4th R in terms of reciprocity, the collaboration whereby two-way street can ensure mutual benefit. In terms of the areas of funding that we would be focusing on, those are infection control, antimicrobial resistance, cancers, different types of cancers, brain and spine disease, bone, muscle, and joint disease, regenerative medicine, plus any other area that can demonstrate the potential of One Medicine and contribute to its development, and of course the replacement of experimental animals. So just as examples as to what the Trust has funded previously, to give you some idea in terms of what projects would be supported. Understanding how osteosarcoma spread was previously one of the projects that was funded by Humanimal Trust. It was actually funded by Humanimal Trust and also one of the other human cancer charities. The other example in terms of antimicrobial resistance is the use of bacteriophages as an alternative to antibiotics. It's quite a developing area in both veterinary and human medicine. And a couple of other examples, 2 projects in association with Action Medical Research in terms of preventing infection and reducing the risk of antibiotic-resistant infection in children who are critically ill, and juvenile osteopathic arthritis and the potential of personalized drug development. For the current application, obviously you would have seen from the website, the deadline is on the 1st of September. So another couple of months, more or less. The initial stage of the applications will be first to assess the application to determine if they do align to the aims of One Medicine. And subsequently, they will be then considered by the Humanimal Trust Science Committee. They will have the final decisions on all the applications. You can find the Science Committee members. Those include quite a wide range of individuals who are based international. You can find those on our website. If you are considering application, then please do read the guidance document as well that is available on the website. All applications should be filled in online on the form that is provided, and costing and cost justification of the cost must also be included within the application. In terms of what we wouldn't consider funding, obviously any project, based on what I said, any project which involves the use of lab animal models, we would not consider funding those. Any service provision or audit type studies, higher education, unless within the specific criteria. So you'll see, and I will bring up the list of what is actually going to be funded. So there is some potential in terms of funding towards a PhD or component of a PhD. We would not fund any course fee for degree or subsistence cost. Any medical, dental, or veterinary electives. We would not fund indirect cost, such as the administrative or other overheads imposed by the institution. Any advertising for staff as well. Attendance at conferences, we would not fund. However, if you do consider publication, and obviously open access publications now require certain fees, we would provide support in terms of providing the APC waiver for you to be able to have your publication published without having to actually pay the fees. Then any general appeals from other charities, specific research funding proposals from charities, those should approach us directly. They will be slightly different, but there will be a peer review process. We would not be funding any clinical or non-clinical staff training, and any basic research with little likelihood of impact in the short to medium term. In terms of the documents that would be required for the submission with the application, so a cover letter which supports the project and the justification for the application form itself, and there is a space within the application form to upload the additional documents that are required. So the CV of the lead applicant and the co-applicants, any Gantt charts that you have available, any regulatory approvals already in place. And it is not a condition of submission that you do already have to have regulatory approvals in place, but obviously if you are going to be applying for anything as part of the project, it would be important then to recognize it in your Gantt chart to make sure that the timings and all the timeframes for the projects take that into account. Then a support letter of the lead institution and any collaborating institutions, if that is obviously applicable. Those should be included. So if you list 2 different institutions on your application, you should have a support letter from both institutions. And additionally, any declaration of interest as well. We would, and it is mentioned on the application guidance, and some of you who have been submitting any of the certainly on the human clinical side, public patient involvement and engagement forms quite a large part of the submission process. And we like to be moving forward in terms of PGIE, that's the term we put forward, that is public guardian involvement and engagement, which is the veterinary equivalent of PPIE. Obviously, this is a concept that is still evolving, so at this stage, we wouldn't necessarily consider for everybody having it, but it would be good if people could give it a consideration, as it is very likely to be included on all future funding calls. There is a guidance document, which obviously was developed around PPIE, which is the UK standards for public involvement that you may want to have a look at if you are going to be including this. In terms of funding that is going to be considered, so as I mentioned, obviously the funding isn't sufficient to support a full PhD, but additional support towards PhD project work would definitely be considered. Any small projects under £20,000, any match funding for specific projects, any proof of concept projects with maximum of up to £5,000, support towards master degree research project with specific One Medicine focus, and also undergraduate summer projects, which obviously have One Medicine focus, things like literature review, with funding up to £1,000. We would consider international applications, and if somebody has an international partner, or if somebody is considering applying from outside of the UK, they should contact us directly. There will be preference given to those in terms of having links in the UK, but also for work that can contribute to faster adoption of One Medicine in the UK. In terms of the application, once you start completing the application, or if you have any additional questions or anything isn't clear, you want to discuss your idea in a bit more detail, so you can contact me directly in the email address provided. And before I move on to questions, I just wanted to mention our hub, which is an interactive space for both human and veterinary clinicians, scientists, anybody who has a professional vested interest in One Medicine. Please do join the hub. We are in a process of revamping some of the sections and sending survey to our users to get people more engaged and really make it into the collaborative platform that it's meant to be. So I hope most of that was clear, but I do hope you have lots of questions for me. So if you want to type your questions in the chat, and then I can pick them up